Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Shintaro Higashi show with Peter Yu. We're going to talk about being a good uke today.
Yeah. This you just made a appreciation post, right?
Yep, being a
On
good uke is
Instagram.
everything, man. Being a good uke, it's a huge thing. And if you guys already know, I'm going to repeat myself, but like there's Tori and uke, the person giving and receiving, like most
Yeah.
things in life.
And
Are you a
yeah,
Tori or a uke, Peter?
I'm always a okay because
Yeah.
I always think about others. And on that note, we have some ukes in our for our podcast, right? Jason and Levant,
Yep, thank you.
and
Yep,
always and everyone else who is supporting us one way or the other
yep.
as a
Thank you very much.
patron and all. Thank you very much. Thanks for being an awesome uke for our
Awesome, Matt. Can't do it without
Tori
you
that
guys.
is podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the actual judo Tori and uke.
Yep.
So you just touched on the definition. So Tori is the one that's throwing, and uke is the one that's receiving the throw.
Yes, yes. So it's a very
Yeah.
cooperative thing, and sometimes it's like when you're doing randori, you could be like, "Oh, he was the tori and he was the uke," as like just
Yeah.
a reference, like who's the one that's doing the throwing. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's like a demonstration with kata. Sometimes it's mostly though when we talk about uke in this context, it's about people who are being the person receiving the technique when the teacher is showing something in class,
Yeah, I see.
and that's a very special skill to be able to do.
So and you have your favorite. Like I think most senseis have their favorite ukes in their class, right?
Always, usually somebody
Yeah.
much lighter than them.
Yeah.
Someone good at break falls and someone cooperative.
You
But you
think
know, yep,
when I was there, was I a good uke?
you were a good uke, yes, for sure. Right? It's someone you trust, someone who's attentive. There's a lot of different reasons to pick someone that's a good uke. But
Yeah.
first, we got to talk about the stigma behind being a uke, right? Some people love it, some
Yeah.
people don't. Some people who get to a certain level, like, oh, I will never take falls for anybody, right? There's guys who are like that, So,
Oh,
right? You ever
really?
heard that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember talking to a guy who was teaching judo, and then some dude comes and was like, "Oh man, sensei, like, can I take a tile from you? I just want to, see what it feels like." I'm like, "Okay," and then
Yeah.
I do it, and then the teacher was like, "Why would he ever want to do that?" I will
Good.
never let anyone throw me. I'm like, "Okay, that's your opinion. That's fine," And then
But
some,
it's
yeah.
such an important skill to receive a throw well.
Yes,
thing.
yes.
Yeah.
But some people just don't want to get taken down like that.
I see.
Right? And that's one thing, and some people are injured, and there's a lot of reasons behind it, and some people have
Yeah.
this like, I am at the top of the chain now. I shouldn't have to take any falls for anybody. And it's more common than you think, man, because I've had situations where it's like I do seminars, right?
Yeah.
So guys, reach out to me if you want me to do a seminar at your gym. Shameless plug, right?
Yeah.
And it's like if I pick a black belt, sometimes the black belt's like, like you can see it in their face, like, oh my god, am I gonna get bombed? Like, there's a lot of fear there,
Oh.
right? And then some people are like, oh, how dare this guy choose me to take a fall, like, yeah.
I didn't know that people had that attitude. I don't think
Definitely.
I've ever actually met them. Is that have you seen that in Japan when you're training?
What?
Like the sense like sensei wouldn't I guess you didn't really have this demonstration thing going on when you were training in Japan anyway.
No,
right?
but if you're a teacher in Japan, like if you're top dog in Japan in the room, you're not taking falls from nobody, dude.
Okay, so it is like okay.
And once you pass the coach level, like there's a coach and
Yeah.
then there's a teacher, right?
Yeah.
So like if you look at like a Kokushikan university system,
Yeah.
you have the 4-year university guys and you have the professional guys who are right out of college who are
Yeah.
actually just full time,
Yeah,
doing judo as a
Yeah.
professional, and they're getting paid a corporate salary.
Yeah.
And there's always, they're all over the place. Like they go to this company or that company, right? Like Park 24 and
Yeah.
horse betting, whatever it is. So then when they come back, they're training. There's always like 20, 30 guys who are pro guys that are training on the mat. And then the people who are kind of like a little bit above that are coaches, Maybe they went 4 years to the college. Maybe they have a corporate pro thing. They already retired and now they're coaching the kids.
Like
in
late
order-
20s, they can
Yeah.
still train with them, like beat them up kind of thing.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
then they want to be like, head coach, assistant coach. But there's the coaches that work out with the guys.
Yeah, yeah.
That beat the piss out of the kids,
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of those guys, and then there's like sort of a hierarchy, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you get to the teachers who are like the head coach, assistant coach that don't work out anymore, who are like
Right.
in their late 30s, 40s, like my age, And those
Yeah.
guys don't fall. Those guys don't do takedowns. They don't do randori. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, but then they don't even do demonstrations, right? Because they don't. No one needs demonstrations.
No,
at
I
that
mean
point.
sometimes they do. They'll be like, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do," and then they'll grab a kid, you know,
Oh,
a
okay.
university kid or somebody like a. They'll
I
probably
see.
they won't pick one of the higher level guys. So they're Japanese culture is very hierarchical, right? As is Korea and as is a lot of these Asian
Yeah.
countries. And then it's embedded in the culture of like, all right, this person can do this person can do that. And in BJJ it kind of leaked over. Like if you're a lower belt, you're not supposed to ask a higher belt for roles. Have you ever heard this? Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, a lot of gyms are like
Is
that.
it-
So if you're a blue belt, you can't ask a purple belt, brown belt, black belt to
Oh.
roll. So you got blue belts are just like sitting there waiting, and then it's good and it's bad, right? Because it preserves some of this hierarchical stuff and it protects the higher belts from reckless beginners, essentially beginner intermediates.
Yeah.
But the black belts can easily just sit there and pick their own rounds,
Yeah.
right? So like it kind of like it lulls them a little bit, as opposed to like.
So you think this like people avoiding being uke kind of is a result of this culture bleeding over?
Yeah, some people are like, I don't want to be a uke,
Yeah.
Why
see.
should I be okay? Do it to that guy. Or some people who want to sit there and watch the lesson,
Yeah.
because sometimes they believe like if they're receiving it, they're not being able to watch it, right? And everyone's a different learner in the room. Some people are like,
Yeah. Which is
tactile
true. You
kinesthetic
can't.
learners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't. If you're uke, you might have to ask again. Like, hey, how did you do this part or that part?
yeah.
I guess.
So some people are visual learners, right? Like they want to
Yeah.
see the actual move being done, like from a third person standpoint, and that's one of the ways they learn. And if they're taking the technique, they have no clue what's really going on. Not
Yeah.
always the case, obviously. If you're already like a higher belt, like you're probably gonna get it.
Yeah.
Still,
Right.
but-
Right.
Yeah.
So then, okay. So like, what's the attitude here that you think all of us in America should have? Like always talk about. We've talked about this a lot, right? Like when people kind of bring aspects of this just regular old Japanese culture into America, and then they kind of distortion may be a little bit of a too strong of a word, but like the hierarchical stuff in Japan, that's just normal. That's how like bowing.
Yeah.
That's just saying hey. So I think it's you said that it's very important for us to kind of see what that is as it is, the Japanese culture, and
Yeah.
then translate that into the more American context, right?
Yeah.
So how should we translate this being a uke, the culture of being a uke, into our context?
Our context,
I
yeah.
guess.
I mean, we didn't really talk about like the pros of being an uke even in Japan, right? And it's some people say it's an honor. But there's always pros and cons of stuff.
Yeah.
I personally think like being a coachable person in the room is sort of the fastest track to getting better at martial arts.
Right.
Period. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're a coachable, likable kid, or even an adult, even if you're like 35 years old, you're just like a likable person and you're coachable, and you're
Yeah.
humble, and people want to teach you stuff like. Now all of a sudden your information that's being thrown at you is going to compound, right? Because everyone wants to work out with you, everyone wants to teach you stuff. Even if you're like a blue belt, like the black belt's going to be like, hey, come here, kid. Like even if you're like a 35-year-old man, like, hey, let me show you, right? So I think like it kind of plays into that. Like when you're uke, you're visible to the class first and foremost.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if the teacher's doing the techniques on you, you get to feel it firsthand. So when someone else does it to you, okay, it doesn't feel right, and then maybe you can make that connection, maybe, right?
Yeah.
This elbow is supposed to be tucked under the armpit, and you felt the person's collar hand like pulling up right around your collarbone. And then when you're going to train the actual technique, and the person's kind of like hand is sagging, it's not very tight, down low. It's like, oh, that it doesn't feel like the same thing,
Right.
So
right.
that gives you valuable information, right?
I see.
Yeah, and then you get to be in tune with your coach a little bit more, because sometimes when you're sitting in the back and then you kind of like, oh, I feel like I know this already, and they're giving this detail, that detail, this detail, that detail. You go here, you go there, you put your feet there. Sometimes you can miss some of the most important details because you could daydream in 2 seconds,
Yeah.
It takes me, right, like watching class and then some guy to be like, yo, what's up? What are you doing this weekend? For me to be completely distracted and like miss everything. And
Yeah.
I think that's more common than you think, because when I teach class, and I teach class all the time, I try not to ramble over 3 minutes when I do any instruction. And I can always tell, 3 minutes in, I'm like talking about Uchimata, and I'm pretty good at this stuff too, teaching this stuff. two or three guys just start wandering off. Like you could just see them kind of like trailing off into the distance. They're like looking at the clock. Some people are yawning. Like people start picking at their face. It's like, all right, I'm losing a couple of guys here. And some people have shorter attention span than others. You can't keep everyone's attention all the time. But for 2 to 3 minutes, to keep every single person's attention.
Yeah.
Those people too should be uke sometimes, right? Because then you have to be attentive. Because if the coach says, "Hey, when I go for taitoshi, the most common reaction is," right?
And then
So you have to do the common reaction. So if you don't know it, you're gonna look like a buffoon, and your coach is gonna look like a buffoon because you can't do the technique, right?
Yeah.
So it forces you to be knowledgeable. It forces you to be listening for the different reactions that may come, right? And then it's really a give and take. If the coach is like, "Hey, the most common reaction when the person goes ouchi is, whatever it is," and then when I go ouchi, if I know you can't do it as uke, I'd be like, the most common reaction is shifting their weight to that far leg and then balancing on one leg. So now the uke is listening and learning the most common reaction. Oh, that's the most common reaction. I should be doing that,
I see. So it becomes more. You can become more of an active learner.
Yeah, you are not. Yes, that's the perfect way to word it.
Yeah.
You're an active learner in front of everyone. You're visible to the room. There's different. It's like interpersonal learning, right there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then the coachability kind of goes hand in hand. Like you said, the teacher will usually if you go to a seminar, right, and the uke that gets picked from that dojo is usually like one of the younger kids that's like most promising. I feel like that's usually the case, right?
Yeah,
like
sometimes. I think so.
I mean, there's a reason for that, I guess, because they're like knowledgeable enough, but not big enough.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's definitely some Tori cheats. Like you go to a seminar and you ask the coach there, like the top guy, they're like, "Hey man, who's the best uke in the room?"
Yeah.
They'll definitely point you to the right person, no matter what.
But then that usually I think it's not because they're a best uke. I mean, I think because the person probably has all these other qualities that makes him or her a big good uke, right?
Yes.
Like coachability. The person probably shows up all the time.
Yep.
The teacher knows the person.
Yep.
The teacher is not gonna just select a random.
I mean, I did a seminar yesterday, and I did select a random guy, and it was a little bit difficult, right? Because he was a little bit tense. So then, I rotated him out.
Yeah.
In a nice way. And those are Tori tricks. You know what I mean? All right, guys, looking quick. And then I just grab the first person here. But I've already situated myself next to that person who is much skinnier and lighter, right?
I see.
Right? Or sometimes it's like, all right, now we're going to go against someone that's a lot bigger than us, right? And in that case, then I'll grab somebody. So now I've already done 2 uke changes, like in like sort of a polite context where it's like, oh, he's fired, right? It's not like that. So now the guy doesn't feel bad about himself. So now the next time all right, guys, bring it in. Can I use you as uke, right? That person, it means nothing, right? It doesn't, there's no meaning behind it as opposed to like, oh, this guy's not a good uke, he's fired. It's not like that.
Hopefully this person doesn't listen to this podcast.
No, he was fine. He was great. I rotated back to him actually. Because,
okay, good.
So it was awesome. And there's some Tori tricks too outside of that. And I'm going to talk about uke tricks in a little bit too.
Yeah.
If you're demonstrating a throw and then you're going to bomb them, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they know when you're going to throw. So that's when they get tense.
Right,
so the first 2 or 3 times you're teaching something, you don't throw them at all. And you're just like, oh, here you go, right? And you lull them. And then it's like, so when you enter taitoshi, you go here and you go there, and the hand goes like that. Look, this is what it looks like, okay? All right, so you go like this, you go like that, and then you just rip it once. So they don't see it coming. But that's like a high-level move, right? You have to be very, very, very good at doing the throw, right? Because the guy doesn't see it coming.
Right.
So you have to
kind of trust. Be very controlled.
You have to be very controlled. And if you suck at throwing, and if you do an osotogari and you like let go of the collar and he doesn't see it coming, he's going to have a concussion. You're going to have big issues, right?
Right.
But if you're going to do osoto, no one wants to take an osoto break fall. Ever, right? No one wants to take that shit. So if we're doing osoto, like I don't throw. And when I do throw, I'll throw real fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't enter really fast because that'll give him like a tension thing. So I enter kind of slow, and it's like I'm chit-chatting. Then I finish very close because there's nowhere for him to go, right?
Yeah.
And when I'm throwing, I'll definitely decelerate him. And then he's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. So the next time he's a lot likely to
right
be more relaxed, right? He's like, whoa. People get shocked And that's a great way to bring back the audience too. Like, hey, guy, when guys start trailing off, and I was talking to Reagan about this too, and Greg was like, yeah, when I'm uke, when I look out into the crowd and I see like 2 or 3 like empty faces like looking into the ceiling, I know you're about to slam me. So I like get ready for that, because
it's like give him the razzle dazzle to get looking back, huh?
Yeah.
So what? So yeah, that's a good segue to. We talked about the mental, I guess, like the mental side of being a good uke, being coachable and up. Yeah, what are the actual techniques of being a good uke?
So knowing the proper reaction and knowing to give the right reactions, right?
Yeah.
And then the proper amount of reactions. That's the key. So I was doing I had a uke last Thursday when I was teaching judo. He's one of my judo guys, and then I went, okay, when I go inside taio here and I bump the leg, and then I like touched my thigh to his inner thigh, and then he freaking almost fell over, and I'm like, bro, it's too much. Like, no one gonna do that. I didn't even do it hard, just stand there normally, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be like, all right, I will say in the context of it, like, oh, if you do it really hard, this could potentially happen. But let's just say he doesn't react so big, or let's say you don't like throw him right off the rip, and then he knows how to like adjust if he's listening and if he's into it, he can adjust, right? And sometimes we're like, listen, man, just don't do anything, just stand there. Sometimes I'll just say that, right?
I see.
But yeah, like uke tricks. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, like how to. Yeah, what are the techniques for becoming a uke?
Yes.
I mean, you kept mentioning staying relaxed. I guess that's one thing.
Is important. Not being tense at all.
Yeah. What is that? Like, how do you become like that though? I guess just getting used to it. I think that's what happened to me. But yeah, like when you first. A lot of beginners tend to try to like defend it, I guess, almost instinctively.
You know what it is, man? It's the fear of the unknown, as with most things. Like, if you don't know what throw is coming, you're going to be freaking tense, right?
Right.
If you know the time, like, all right, guys, I'm going to go inside taio and then do a double taio to the outside, shin, and that's what we're showing today. My guy goes for an inside taio and he steps out, and then I already know Azuki, like, he's going to go for the second taio, right?
Yeah.
And I'm, like, gearing myself up for that, and I'm relaxing my upper body, because if I know taio's coming, I could push away or, like, turn the opposite direction. But I'm going in the direction where I'm loose, and then, like, I'm letting myself almost going towards the technique, right? And I'm on one leg. And the moment he threads the taio, right, I'm already throwing myself I'm leaning forward. And as he's executing the throw, I'll do a calf lift. Like, I'll push off on my calf.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll, like, not dorsiflex. What's the other one?
I have no idea.
Dorse extend,
really.
And I'll, like, push off my calf as I'm going forward. So I'm not actually jumping, but I'm making a maneuver where I'm extending myself towards the throw in the direction of the throw, right?
Yeah.
And that is, like, peak uke stuff. You know what I mean? And I could take a great break fall for taio like this. And I could do that for like Sanagi, Uchimata. I'm a master at that. But taking a Osotogari break fall, I'm not as good.
I don't even know if there's like a flash, because you basically right now the way you described it is like you're like basically making the throw look bigger, right?
No.
Like, and then smoother. I don't even know how you can do that with Osotogari.
I mean,
you're just,
yeah,
like,
you
getting
just kind
snuffed
of
up, right?
You like drive your heel back, right? You just drive back your weight to the heel, and then you lean back towards the throw, right?
Oh, and then you can then it'll be bigger.
And then you don't hang on the person, because then you get you pull your Tori down, right?
Yeah.
So like, okay, when I go Osoto, Ochi Osoto, like I enter Osoto, and the most common reaction is for the person to put their weight onto that leg. So I'll like lean on the leg, but not like turning away to the technique. But like I'll turn into the person, so then I give them the proper angle, right? So we're like sort of face to face facing each other. So now, and then I'll rotate my knee inward, so then it's a much easier angle for him to reach the leg, right?
Yeah.
And as he's going in, I'll like kind of like fall backwards already as he's going.
Yeah.
But I don't like try to time the fall, right? Because if I
like
go,
you don't jump for it. Yeah.
No, because then it looks really bad when it looks like I'm jumping for him.
Yeah.
So I'm just going slowly in the direction of the throw, and as he enters, I'm throwing myself kind of like, I'm just going with the maneuver. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. So so basically, you also have to be very knowledgeable of the throw. It's not just about like being limp.
Yeah.
Right.
And then also like there's varying degrees of like Tori and Uke. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, I will never forget, man, when you were at the dojo when you were like 19 years old. No, you must have been 22 years old or something, right?
Yeah, when I first showed up.
Yeah, and if you could go
Yeah.
back on my Instagram to like the very first like 20 posts, this is a video of me throwing you Tayo.
Video.
Me throwing you Tayo. Just like, all right, guys,
okay.
this is Tayo. Bang! And just hitting Tayo once.
Oh.
And then your cousin was like, "Oh no, don't throw my cousin like that."
Oh yeah, I kind of remember that.
You know
Yeah.
that? You know?
Yeah,
But that's like
I-
really good because you're so relaxed and
Yeah.
it was just pure, just you're just standing there, right?
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
knew I was gonna do Tayo, and you just
Yeah.
kind of like accept it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Go
mean,
ahead, take it,
I
you know.
it looks big, but it doesn't hurt because you know I know
Yeah.
you're controlling, and actually it would
Yeah.
hurt less if I would just like
Yeah.
go over.
So
yeah.
that one is an example of like Uke being neutral and Tori being the person who's just ripping the throw, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But if you have a guy that's not that good and you have a really,
Yeah.
really good Uke, he can make you look like a world champion. That's the
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
right? By
Yeah.
like going towards the throw, jumping off the calf, like doing the calf race
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I've seen the reverse of that too. Yamashita came to New
Uh-huh.
York and did a seminar, and he
Uh-huh.
had the worst Uke in the room, and they were doing moving uchikomi. This guy made Yamashita look like a beginner, dude. Yamashita, arguably one of the greatest judokas of all time.
Really?
The guy was like, "All right, this is how you do," and his English was very limited, you know, so he couldn't
Yeah.
really guide the Uke to do like take the proper steps.
Yeah.
And then he was doing like, "All right, 1, 2, 3, Ochi, 1, 2, 3, Ochi," right? And then
It
the guy
wouldn't-
just wouldn't step back with the right foot, you know, and the correct foot. And then like the moment he like entered like the second or third time, he like almost tripped and like turned and put his hand down, and Yamashita just sitting there like, Jesus freaking Christ, you know. After-
Why did he pick him?
I don't know. He volunteered, I think, and then after the second time, Yamashita's literally like, "No, get out of here." He like went like this, moved, he like swiped his hand away, and then just pointed at somebody else.
He didn't.
wasn't polite.
Yamashita is not about your Tori tricks, huh?
No, he was just like, "Get out, you come here," and then like picked some light kid, small kid,
That.
and he wasn't
You
even
can-
nice about it. He wasn't like sparing about the throws either. He just kept relentlessly slamming this kid over and over. And I was like, "See, that's the kind of stuff that makes no one want to be a Tori." Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. That's
Yeah.
Well,
So-
you can
yeah.
you can do that, I guess, when you're a Yamashita.
I guess so, but you know, it's very conversational, right? It's
Yeah.
a very special relationship, Tori and Uke,
Yeah.
because Tori also has to consider the person's body. You're just slamming the guy over and over,
Yeah.
day in and day out. That's not very helpful,
No.
right? It's not, the guy's not
mean-
gonna want to do it anymore.
Eventually, it hurts. I mean, I say, yeah, if you
Yeah.
relax, it hurts less, but it hurts nonetheless.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's
And
like
it's a very special relationship, man. Tori and Uke, like. You know, because I've had like guys who were Tori in the room who were amazing. It's like, all right, guys, bring it in for technique, and then you see the Tori pop up like,
yeah,
you need me, you need me, and then he like runs
Yeah.
over to you. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a nice little, and yeah, it's like a little bit, you know, top bottom sort of a thing, but you got to reciprocate, right? You got to give something back. You know, there's
Yeah.
appreciation sort of a situation.
yeah.
Right.
You have to. It's always like this, right? Like you can't practice judo without your partner.
No, I
So-
think there's like got to be a Uke union.
You can you.
Yeah, dude. Like if you're, I was joking about this the other day. Like if you're consistently Uke for the head instructor and he's showing technique on you, and you play music in the gym, right? Uke should be able to pick 2 or 3 songs. during
Oh,
practice.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah. Remember this kid? This kid named James, the Korean kid.
Yeah.
And, he was the best uke in probably
So
in
good.
tri-state area.
So good. Dude. Oh yeah, yeah.
You
Oh
know?
man,
Remember, and then his sensei, the Filipino gentleman, will always.
that's right. Gentleman, yeah, James. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, he was
Yeah.
a kata champion too. He was like
Yeah.
a kata uke.
Dude,
this
he
guy-
is so good.
Yo, he's so good. He'll make anyone look like
Anyone
an
look-
Olympic champion. You could be
Yeah.
a green belt. You could do judo for 6 months, dude. You could be a white belt doing judo, and you could take this
Yeah.
kid, and you could look like you could put it on the Instagram and immediately go viral.
Yeah. Hey James, if you're listening, man, like
Come
I miss
back.
you. I miss you having as my uke. Like he's such a nice kid.
You know,
and
you guys could look him up on my YouTube like today. You could do a 3-person Nagano kata, and I
Yeah.
kind of did it like half jokingly.
Yeah.
Look up 3-person Nagano kata on my
Yeah.
YouTube, and then you'll find them.
Yeah.
The best
He-
uke ever. Let me see if that actually comes up.
Yeah,
80%.
he was always the karaoke, and then he would make the he really throws himself into it. Really, he's lanky, makes the action really big. Does it show up?
Nage no kata. Yeah. If you do Nage no kata, man, it only doesn't have a lot of views.
Let's see how much boost it's gonna get from this.
Oh, that'd be amazing, right? Yeah, it's like 1, 2, 3, fourth one down. You'll see, you know what my videos look like. So
Yeah.
type in Nage no kata and don't look at any of the experts actually doing it, and just me messing around and hanging out.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun though. That was a good time.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, James Yen, man, what a
Yeah.
uke, man, uke of the century, dude.
Yeah. So what can we actually do to become like James, I guess? Like you talked about understanding the throw and all, but is it just a matter, what are some concrete steps we can take right away? Like
Being loose, man, being loose. You know, embracing the fall. You have to have good ukemi skills, right? If you don't have good ukemi skills, you're not gonna be able to do it. And then if you're doing like uke as like on the ground, knowing all the different reactions, being knowledgeable really is kind of the main thing, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you pick like an intermediate guy to like just be the throwing dummy, I guess, and then sometimes you pick a higher level guy to kind of like enhance the lesson.
yeah.
Right? Because, hey, you know, I go, even like jiu-jitsu, like I'm uke all the time for this guy, Nick Damjoni, for the 10 a.m. I'm the guy uke, you know? So, like, I've carved myself sort of like this niche identity at the Essential Jiu-Jitsu at the 10 a.m. class, like...
Because
you know what I mean?
you're not, you don't really fit the usual uke, like the class uke.
I volunteered for that.
Profile in judo, because you're big.
Yeah.
You're hard to throw.
Yeah. And I volunteered for this.
volunteered.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, Nick, man, if you ever need a uke, I got you. And you want to know what's great about that, me being an uke during that? Nick likes to do the technique once or twice before he actually shows everybody, right? So he'll come over to the side, like, as people are, like, messing around or stretching, or before
I
class
see.
even begins, like, Shintaro, come on, right? And I'm like, oh, what are we learning today? He's like, oh, we're going to do butterfly guard into this and that reaction. I'm like, oh, cool. And as he's showing the moves, I could ask him questions. Like, oh, how do you force that hand high above to force that shoulder contra? Like, how do you get to that butterfly? He's like, all right, sometimes you go shin to shin, sometimes you go there, sometimes I go 2-on-1 and do that. And then so I get like a mini private lesson almost for like 5-10 minutes first. And then he does the technique, right? And then I could even be like, yo, what happens with this guy? It's very informative for me. I love it. I love it. And then class starts. We do like a little bit of a 5-10 minute warm-up drill. And then he's like, all right, bring it in, guys. And then I go in and I'm like, all right, do whatever you want to me. Yeah. And then it's kind of nice. Yeah.
You're such a good student. You're like first to the class.
Yeah, but you know, man, this is the thing. Like, when he
Yeah.
was teaching the lesson, and then I would be in the back watching,
Yeah.
very easy for me to doze off. That was my guy. That was me.
Yeah.
You know, in school,
Yeah.
like every class I've ever
Yeah.
taken, sitting in the back, like messing around the whole time. Right? I can't pay attention. I just can't. It's too easy to mess around the back of the class. When I was getting my MBA, the classes that I like, all right, I got to do well in this class. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
You sit in the front.
I'll sit in the front, and this is the
Yeah.
equivalent, man. There is no fronter seat than being uke.
I know. You can't just think about anything else.
Yeah, it's like you're on the teacher's lap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Quite literally.
yeah, teacher, tell me. You know, so
Yeah.
no, it's great being uke, man, and I think I would advocate for everybody to challenge themselves, and if you're a teacher, I don't want to say the word groom, but you want to groom good ukes too. You know, what I mean? You gotta like make sure you gotta build different ukes. So like, if your main uke is not in the room, you don't panic like, oh shit,
Yeah.
which goon am I gonna take? And then like,
Yeah. Right.
after
Right.
that.
And then you might look like a beginner if you pick the
Yeah.
wrong one.
Yeah, man, uke appreciation is, there needs to be more of that stuff, because like, if without an uke, man, who are you gonna show technique on? You know, you just can't. So it's like, you need a good uke. You know, they get no love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We need a uke appreciation week. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to make a Drake song like, starting as a uke, now I'm here.
Yeah, now we're here. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you wanna, like we said, if you wanna check out some like real, good examples of uke, you can actually look up Nage no Kata and check out, Shintaro's videos, not the fancy ones.
Yeah.
And
Well,
James
and
is
it
the
starts
top one.
off me and Eugene, and then we alternate out with James. So you'll see him take great break falls, and I'm terrible.
Eugene
at
is
that.
also a great Uke too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great practice partner, and
Yeah.
so like he's a good example if you want to check it out.
Yep.
Like a real life example.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
No, man, guys, thank you very much for listening. As always, I greatly
Yeah.
appreciate everyone who's involved in our journey. We have a lot of YouTube follow. We have 200,000 now on YouTube, which is a new milestone. Over 100,000 on Instagram. You know, Mike O'Hearn started following me on Instagram.
Mike who?
Mike O'Hearn, he's a jacked up dude. He's
No,
got
I don't know who that
he's got
is. I'll look
4
him up.
million Instagram.
Oh,
He's like
wow.
a fitness guy. Yeah, he's like following me.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
he's gonna take some judo with you.
That'd be nice, right?
Yeah.
Ronnie
Yeah.
Chang follows me too, you know? You know
Oh,
that.
I know that. Yeah.
So
yeah.
pretty amazing stuff, man. Thank you guys. I can't do it without you guys, helping me
Yeah.
out, and I'm very, very grateful, So
Yeah.
thank you, everyone. Seriously. Thank
Yeah, I mean, the same goes from for me. It's been a great journey, and
Yeah.
thanks for your continued support, and we'll
Yeah.
see you guys in the next episode.